Happy Hispanic Heritage Month, everybody. This is the Slider Review. I'm here today to talk to you about Devious Maids Season 3. Alright, I know it's not Latino Heritage Month, but I don't feel like waiting towards the end of the year just to talk about it. I want to hurry up and push this video out now because I want to hurry up and get with Season 4 and push that one out as well. So anyways, Season 3 is really good. Like, it was really thrilling. The murder mystery was so much better than that of Season 2. Season 2 is dismal. Season 1 is really good. However, towards the end of Season 1, fans started to dip out. And by Season 2, they lost over 1 million viewership. And I think by Season 3, fans were just like, enough with this show, and ratings just started to drop even more, to where they got really bad in Season 4, in this final season, until it got canceled. And one of the reasons why people stopped watching this show is because, from what I read, they didn't like how the Latino community was represented in this show. This is supposed to be like the Latino version of Desperate Housewives, because it's created by that of Mark Cherry, the man who created Desperate Housewives. But Mark Cherry has a record of not representing people of color in the best way. People was upset that all the Latino people are either maids or bad people. And so, like, they just had enough with this show. And I've talked about this show and a great deal about race and stuff like that. How this show is supposed to be about a bunch of Mexican maids, but there's only one Mexican person in the entirety of the show. And guess what? After 2 episodes, they got rid of her in this season. The only Mexican person in the show that's supposed to depict Mexican people, and she's gone. Like, just gone. I don't know if she wanted to go or they wrote her off the show for whatever reason, but she's gone. And they didn't even give her much to do in those 2 episodes that she's in. But this show also, like other Mexican characters, they are played by other Latinos, just not Mexicans. And it can't be that hard to find Mexican like actors and actresses. I know they're out there. Why don't y'all put them in the show? But not only that, they treat the people of color very bad, especially black people and other races. I'll get into that a little bit later when I get into the murderer of this show, or this season, I should say. And plus, the Latino people said, they don't want stereotypes. They don't want to be portrayed as maids. And that's what they did in this show and stuff. And the sad thing is, Eva Longoria is an executive producer on the show. So how did she let that slip and fly? Especially with the stuff that she had problems with in Desperate Housewives. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And it's just like every Latino person in this show is made at some point in time to look bad. And yes, there are bad white characters, like I said before, but they always get redeemed. And it's just like the black family from Season 2. Oh, they're not in Season 3. They're gone. Like, what happened to them? They didn't move or nothing like that. They just wrote them off the show. There's something wrong with Mark Cherry, man. Like, there's something about him when it comes to that of people of color. I swear to God. Anyways. But in my opinion, this season is very good, just like Season 1. Season 2 and Season 4 just flat out suck. But Season 3 murder mystery is so good, so juicy, that it really makes you wonder who is the murderer this season. And there's so many clues that like keep you so intrigued in the show to where you think you know what's going on, but you're completely wrong. But then when they do reveal who the killer is, that's the problem with this show. It's never who you think it is. It's just some random person. And it's just kind of like, really? Really? But the mystery surrounding it all is so engaging. And unlike Season 2, all the characters in the show are somehow connected to this murder mystery, just like in that of Season 1. And that's how it should be. You don't want your character just going around doing whatever they want to and not revolving around this mystery that you put in your own show. And that's the problem that Season 1 had. And I love how Rosie is the one who's trying to figure out, like, this murder mystery and stuff, which is so great because she's always been portrayed as like the dumb one and everything. They always made her to look like a Mexican migrant, like stereotype, and that irritated people and stuff. So they finally letting her be smart and stuff and not so oblivious to how she was portrayed in other seasons, at least season one. However, once again, Marisol is the one who actually solves this murder mystery. Like reading it off, like how she reads people and stuff, like just like sprouting off about how this was done and how that was done and how this was done. And it's all like, again, for the third time, again. And she's not even connected. Like, I don't like, actually, I think she's the only one who's not connected to this murder mystery. So why is she the one solving it? Like, that's right. She's the only one who's not really connected whatsoever to this murder mystery. And so, like, why is she the one solving it and crap? I don't get that. And that irritated fans so much. And it made people started to really get irritated with that character. Thankfully, in season 4, that does not happen. She stays like in her own lane. And the stuff that happens between like the love romances between Spence and that of what's her name, Rosie, is done so much better here because her ex-husband, who she thought was dead, is alive and everything. And this is what I wanted to see because they got rid of Perry in season 2 because the actress went on to do her own show. And so it robbed us of this whole like love triangle thing. And that's something dramas need. You need that juicy will they, won't they, and who's butting in type thing. Sadly, though, like I said before, some of these characters are not treated very well, especially that of people of color. Like Zola, who is Dominican in real life but plays a Mexican on the show. They always write her to have the most like pile of crap I've ever seen. They just pile it on her. And it's so frustrating. Like, can't she just have her happy ending? Carmen sadly got downgraded this season in terms of character development. Like season 2, she was amazing, but this season, the things they had her do is just something I'm just like, why, man? Like, why? And it makes you go, poor Sam from season 1, which they still have not brought back in this show and never will. And as for Marisol, they actually give her another reason to stick around in the show. I still don't understand how she's still in this show after season 1 because her story arc ended, but they try to find ways to keep her there. Because, I do like the actress and stuff, and I get why they don't want to get rid of their stars. But they actually gave her a little bit more of a legit reason for staying this time, as opposed to season 2 of her just marrying some rich dude and everything and writing a book. This time it's like, she started her own maid service, which is kind of neat because she pretended to be one in season 1 to find out, who murdered this one girl and stuff. But the things they have her do this season is just kind of like they're downgrading her character. Like, what happened? She used to be a good woman and now she's acting this way and stuff. And it makes her so annoying. And I don't understand. It's the writer's fault. It really, really is. Like here's the writers, right? Every season, there's only 1 or 2 Latino female writers on the show. And they need more if this was supposed to be a Latino type show. Now, here are the rest of the writers. They're all white or Jewish, and they're mostly just men. And I hate how they degrade the female lead characters and stuff. I get it. They're not supposed to be perfect. And you're supposed to have flawed characters. But my God, some of the things they just do to the females on this show is just terrible. And once again, I am going to talk about race in this show because it's ridiculous how they degrade people of color in like this show. So before character profiles, basically the murder mystery here is that there are dead body parts ending up in people's front yard. And so they have to figure out who exactly died and who is chopping up body parts and stuff. And the biggest shocker is that it relates to that of Michael and Taylor. Yes, they are back this season. They was written out of season 2, but now they're back. And they came back in a huge way that is so interesting, it kept me fully engaged into the show. And when you find out who the killer is and why they did what they did, it's a stupid reason. It's just a stupid reason. So let me start with Carmen first. So Carmen, she was working for Spence and still is since season 2. The guy that was obsessed with her, Ty, he's now been arrested for shooting up Rosie's wedding, shooting Rosie, shooting the pastor, and killing off another character I'll get into a little bit later. And so when Rosie comes out her coma 4 months later, Rosie does not want Carmen living with them, her and Spence, because they're short on money. They don't have enough money to pay her. And Rosie's just the jealous type. So Carmen doesn't have a place to live. And it's interesting because I know why Rosie doesn't have a place to live, because she was an immigrant and stuff and came here illegally. And so she's a living maid. But when it comes to Carmen, it's just like, I don't understand something with her. She has this pursuit of like wanting to be a singer. That's something that's been shown ever since season 1. And she left Puerto Rico, I think, to come over here. And she's just been a maid the entire time ever since she was like 18, 20 or something like that. And now she's about to hit 40. And she's just been a living maid the entire time, not saving up her money and getting her own place. Now, granted, you only get paid $20 an hour to be a maid in California. But it really does make her look bad when, like, you know, she downgrade when she complained to that of Sam, talking about, do you really just want to be a live-in butler for the rest of your life? What happened when you're 80 and you're living in like in a motel and stuff like that? And it's like, dude, don't preach it. Like, you know, you're living that life now and everything. So she has to look for a place to live. And where does she work for? The Powells, of all people. Yes, the Powells have been redeemed. No longer are they the nasty, racist, misogynistic, horny, like sexual predator type style they were in season 1. They have now been redeemed and everything, which is very, very, very shocking and stuff. But they're comedic relief like always. And so Adrian, which I'll get into much, much more later, he decides he likes dominatrix now. And Evelyn will not do that for him. So he hires Carmen to do it for him. And he pays her lots of money. And so she does it for the money. But she doesn't like doing it. She finds it gross and nasty and stuff like that. And so eventually she just stops doing it, and she causes like Evelyn to see them do it, and Evelyn gets pissed, think he's cheating or something like that again, but he's not necessarily not. He's not really, because they're not doing it, but I don't understand dominatrix. I really don't. I hope to God I never meet like a female dominator. I don't like that whole rudeness of them shouting at people, thinking they control people. I ain't for that crap. Anyway, and so like, it's just funny to see her do all this weird stuff for like Adrian, and like, you know, he hates it. Oh no, she hates it and everything, but he loves it. But it gets a little too far. See, he wants to be electrocuted. So she's all like, yo, man, I don't think this is safe. She's like, nah, it's thrilling and everything. So she electrocutes him, and it stops his heart. And so she has to call her boyfriend to help resuscitate him. and everything. By this time, she's had enough and she's done doing it. But here's the problem I'm having with her this season. It's the guy she's dating, Sebastian. Sebastian is played by Giles Marini, and so he's Italian and stuff, right? French Italian. And she met him at the end of season two. And they were sleeping together, and because he wants to help her with her music label, but then he's all like, oh yeah, I'm married. So she decides she's still gonna keep sleeping with him and everything, even though he's married. And I'm just kind of like, why did they do this to Carmen? First of all, Carmen doesn't like getting into relationships. She does not like dating. This is why she put Sam off for the longest time, because she said she's not here to have her heart broken again. But, she will sleep with a man just, get her kinks out. And if it helps her get her music label going, which is just a terrible thing. Now, after a while, she did cozy up to Sam to where she realized, okay, this guy does a lot for me and doesn't ask for nothing in return, and he's an actual genuine dude. So she ends up dating Sam, only to break his heart when she pretends to get into a fake marriage with Alejandro, so people won't understand he's gay or find out he's gay. And so, like, it's just weird now that she just dates randomly now, and it's just weird because that wasn't her in season one. But now she's dating this married man and having an affair, and when her friends try to tell her to stop, she doesn't want to stop. Things tend to get worse when she actually meets his wife, who is the music producer person. The wife takes a liking to her friend Wise and stuff. And then the wife kind of like confides in her and kisses her on the lips. Carmen is freaked out by this because she doesn't understand what the heck is going on. And so then she sees the boss lady just kissing her other employees. So she assumes that's just how she is, but doesn't want more from her. But now the boss lady, who's played by Michelle Hurd, Jacqueline, that's the character she plays, wants to experiment with ladies, and she thinks her and Carmen would be a good choice. Anyways, Jacqueline finds out that Carmen is sleeping with her husband and stuff. So she gets furious mad and pretty much just tortures that of Carmen by keeping her under contract but not producing her money. And she's all like, I own you and I'm never putting out none of your albums, and you can't go to another company because or label album, what's the music people call label company, because we own you for this amount of years and I'm not letting you go. So this dashes Carmen dreams of, like, wanting to make it big in music, something she's been wanting since she's been like in her 20s and stuff, and it's just never happened. And Carmen is devastated by this, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything she's tried to work for, scheming and scamming to try to be like a music person and manipulating people, just, it was all for nothing. So now she's just back to being a maid, and now she's trying to do things like commercials and all this other crap, but in the next season, but it doesn't really go nowhere. And I feel bad in a way for her because she's always wanted this dream, but sadly she should have known, hey, look, let me cut this off from this dude in a relationship, you know what I'm saying? Because he's a cheater and a serial cheater at that. But she thought, oh, he was the one, or oh, he was gonna be different, and oh, he would never mess around with her, but it turns out he did and stuff. And then there's a huge revelation towards the end that reveals she's actually a mother. This is even shocking because we know she hates kids. She has said many times she hates kids. Her daughter is in her 20s. She had her when she was like in high school, gave her to her sister, and then abandoned her. to like pursue like a music career. And it makes her character even worse when we see what happens in the fourth season with her and her daughter. It's just they wanted to downgrade this character so much from the good character development they had from her in season two. I don't know why they would do that crap. Valentina and Remy. They are only in the first two episodes and then they're completely written off. Basically, after the events of last season, Valentina is shaken up, and every time she hears a loud noise, she thinks it's a gunshot because of the wedding. Her father ended up dying as a result. Yeah, they just wrote his behind off. The one Latino person, man, and they just wrote him off. Anyway, I swear to God about this show, man. So anyway, she's shaken up, and Remy just wants to protect her. When she goes jogging, he follows her. She thinks it's a bad guy, and she sprays him with mace. She tells him that she doesn't need his protection, and he's all like, look at you. You're just spraying people in the face as soon as they come around the corner. Like, there's something wrong with you. We need to get out of town and everything. So they decide that they're gonna leave, and she's gonna pursue her fashion career, and he's gonna continue medical. And that is it. I was shocked. I knew her role was reduced this season. I didn't think they was gonna write her off like that. I thought they was gonna at least write her off a better way. She's the only real Mexican person in the entire series, and this is a show supposed to be about Mexican maids. And she's the only real Mexican on the show, and they just got rid of her behind. I don't understand that. And neither stars have ever revealed why they was written off the show. Now, probably Remy because he was on Pretty Little Liars. But she didn't have nothing going on for her at that time, so why did they get rid of Eddie, character Valentina? I don't know. Zoila. So, Valentina's mom, Zoya, is still on the show. Her husband, Pablo, is dead and everything. And you don't see her grieve whatsoever for like her fallen husband. There's not a funeral scene, nothing. They ruined that man's character in season two, then they killed him off. I swear to God about this show. So anyway, she's pregnant. And she doesn't know who her baby daddy is. And so after doing some tests or whatever, or doing the math or whatever like that, she finds out that it's Pablo's baby. Yeah, the dead man now has a baby. And so she's still with, I think Harvey. No, I forgot that dude's name. I forget his name. The dude she's dating, the professional chef, the rich dude. She's still dating him, and she's supposed to get married to him. And so Genevieve's all like, look, man, you gotta tell him the truth. Her of all people want to tell somebody the truth. But, she doesn't do it. And it makes her look like a bad character, wanting to stay with this rich man who takes her to Paris and all this other crap, right? Because she didn't even tell him that she slept with Pablo last season. Anyways, they break up on the wedding day of all days because she finally decides to reveal it to him. But I think only because he overheard her talking and she finally decided to tell him, making her once again look like a bad person. So now she's single, alone, and with the baby. So she's at home, but Genevieve's all like, look, just live with me and everything, and I will take care of you. Well, of course, that doesn't happen. Like, she's pregnant, and she's very pregnant, and Genevieve is not taking care of her. Zola is still Genevieve's maid, having to clean her house and this and that. That's pretty crappy, being pregnant and having to do that. As for Genevieve, she has fallen in love with her doctor. And so he wants to marry her and move in and this and that. And he has his own maid, Joy. And Joy is Asian. Now, why did I bring that up? Because Mark Cherry has a habit of making Asian characters maids. He did it twice in Desperate Housewives, and now he did it in this show. Something wrong with that man. So Zoila and Joy are constantly butting heads because Zola wants to clean something, but Joy did it or goes after her and re-cleans it. And so it causes, like, them to fight over a urn with ashes in it. I think it's the doctor dude. What's the doctor's name? Christopher Neff or something like that. I think it's his dead mom's ashes in there. And they knock it over everywhere. So Joy is upset and Zoila's all like, we can just use dust from the vacuum cleaner. He'll never know. Until he decides to look in it for whatever reason and realize, hey, this is dust and not ashes. So he's pissed and he's furious. And he does not like Zola whatsoever and wants her gone. So he has Joy like lie and fake a bunch of stuff to make him look like he's cheating, but he's not. Just so Zoila can go and tell Genevieve. And talking about how he's just using her for like her money, but he's really not. So Zoila falls for this. And Genevieve falls for this. And he tells Genevieve it's either me or it's Zola. Pick one. And she picks him over Zoila. A pregnant woman of all things. Anyways, at some point in time, Joy tells the truth. And so Genevieve just like kicks the doctor out, right? But it's still crappy how she treats Genevieve. Genevieve is like a sister to her. They've known each other since they was little, and Zoila has like been her maid for like ever and ever. And you would think they would have a closer bond, but they don't, because Genevieve is so stuck up in everything and spoiled and rich. But it's literally Zola who's always holding everybody together. Zola is like that mother to everybody. She's a mother to that of Genevieve. She's a mother to her actual real daughter, Valentina. But she's always trying to micromanage and crap. So anyways, Zoila's sister comes to visit, and her sister is just terrible. Oh, look, another terrible person of color. And so her sister just uses her to have a place to stay because she has no place to live because her husband kicked her out. And she wears like Genevieve's like outfits and this and that. And it turns out that Zoila's sister slept with Pablo. Yeah, degrade his character even more. So of course Zola kicks her out. When her and Genevieve are like at the hospital or someplace and everything, something happens and the elevator goes out. Now at this point in time, these two are irritated with each other. But, they're stuck in the elevator, and then Genevieve is able to crawl her way out through the little opening and stuff. And they rescue Zoila, but the stress caused Zola to go into labor and everything. But there's a problem. There's a complication with the pregnancy. And the doctor tells her that since there's no other family around and you're like her boss and friend, you have to make the decision. Do I save the baby's life or do I save the mother's life? So it ends on a big cliffhanger and we don't know which one Genevieve picked. And, when it comes to Zoila, they always write the worst crap for her. It's almost like they just want to keep pushing her down and making her very micromanaged and stuff. Like, that's one reason why her husband left and her daughter left, because she tries to control their life. Well, that and he was cheating. And, it's really sad that they keep writing all this crap for her. They can't give her one good storyline. They gave her one halfway into season 2, only to take that away with having her cheat and get a baby by her dead husband and stuff. And I do like how Genevieve is no longer the comedic relief. Like, could they make her more serious? Which is something Susan Lucci can do. The comedy wasn't really there. They still give her tiny humorous bits here and there, and they work better than that of season 1. But I really hate how they keep tearing like Zoila down. Marisol. So Marisol is still in the show, and she has her own cleaning service where she helps these maids get jobs and stuff like that and put them in houses, which is really great because she knows what it's like to be that of a maid when she pretended to be one, even though she's a college professor and no longer teaches, and they just find a way to keep her into the show. Once again, I love the actress, I just don't like the character no more. And so she really doesn't have much of a storyline this season, but she falls in love with a guy named Jesse, a black man. And he's much younger than her, about 10, 15 years, something like that. And they start dating. Well, the show tries to make Jesse seem like he is the killer in the show to throw us off, right? And he even has a gun that he hides behind his back and all this other stuff. Well, at some point in time, for whatever reason, she's in his place and I think she's snooping around and she finds his gun. When he comes in, she pulls the gun on him and is ready to shoot him, of all things. And it's just kind of like, dude, why are you going to shoot him for? And even he asked that question. She's all like, are you the killer? Are you chopping up people's body parts? Blah, 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 stuff like that. And he's all like, no. And he's all like, look, you always jump to conclusions, always thinking this person's a murderer and that person's a murderer, which is something she does from that of season 1. So he dumps her. I'm like, you go. Like, you stand up to her and you stand up for yourself. And he's actually a really good character. They finally learned their lesson from that of season 2, from the complaints of like introducing bad black characters, like he also did in Desperate Housewives. And so the Jesse character is a really, really cool character. I do find it kind of odd about this one poster they have in his room. Like, okay, he has a bunch of movie posters, right? And one of the posters is like, I guess, a famous one. I'm not really sure. It's a monkey wearing like a hat and smoking a cigarette or something like that. And he's always standing next to that poster. And I'm just kind of like, well, this is supposed to be racial. Because you know how like people, like white people always call black people monkeys and stuff. Like, is it supposed to represent that or something? And I hope to God it's not. But by next season, that poster is now gone. So somebody must have complained. But like I said before, Marisol is the one who figures out the murder mystery of all things. And she rattles it off like, this is how this happened and that's how that happened. And it just becomes super annoying and everything. So the pals and everything. So when they were having a dinner party, Adrian met a woman who's a dominatrix, and she performed dominatrix type stuff on him. He liked it so much, he got Evelyn involved, where they went to this place. And so she did not like it whatsoever. Now, like I said before, they are no longer the people they used to be. She used to be racist, and he used to hire prostitutes and used to have affairs and watch people having sex, videotaping them. So Evelyn's whole thing this season is she wants to move from their house because it's considered the murder house. 2 people have died there, and now there's a severed arm there, or a leg, I should say. Yeah, it's a leg there, but it's a hand in another place. And so she's just tired of this crap, and she wants to move. And so they got a real estate agent dude who is Sebastian, who is Carmen's boyfriend. Well, remember how they lost their son 25 years ago, and she wants another child. So after the whole dominatrix storyline has ended, she decides to adopt a little black child. And she's all like, Adrian, I got you a surprise. And he looks at the kid and is all like, you got me a black kid. Why you had to say he's black? I don't care if he is black. Why you had to say it? Like, Mark Cherry always does this crap. He did it the same thing in Desperate Housewives with Brie. She's all like, Danielle, do you have a black man underneath your bed? And I'm just like, why she gotta say he's black? Why can't she just say a man? So anyways, she did all she could to get this kid. You know, it takes a long time to adopt a kid or foster a kid. But she bribed the lady at the foster place, the black lady who took the bribe and everything. She offered her tons of money and stuff like that. So the little black dude, Damien, like, he's a pain in the butt. They wrote him to be terrible and everything. Like, he is atrocious and stuff. He writes on Carmen's face, draws on her when she's asleep. He cusses at people and this and that. But Evelyn just loves him to death. Adrian wants nothing to do with him because he just doesn't want to have a son no more. He lost his son and doesn't want to replace him. So he tries to find this boy's father, who was in the military. The mom gave him up for adoption, and the dad didn't know that he had a son. After a while, though, Adrian starts to like Damien. I forget what happens. He takes him to the country club and something just happens. And he's all like, oh, this is a good luck charm. And so, like, now he wants to keep Damien. Only problem is the father has now been found. So here comes the foster lady, and it's a new lady, a white lady. And she's all like, the bribes might have worked on the other lady, but not on me. Hey, Mark Cherry. So you can bribe the black lady and make her look terrible, but the white lady's like, oh, that ain't gonna work for me. So when Evelyn was talking to this one lady from season one, she's all like, you should take these pills and you'll be happy, happy, happy and stuff. And so she tries to drug Adrian and stuff like that to make him more perky for, like, you know, the adoptee interviewer and stuff. But the interviewer lady takes the drink with the pills in it by mistake. So she's passed out, and when she wakes up, she's hyper, hyper, hyper. But then she realized she's been drugged. Only for Damien to blackmail her and be all like, you know, you came here all drugged and everything like that, and blah, 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 and all this other crap. So she lets everything slide, and they get to keep him until the real dad comes. So they have a plan. They're going to hire an actor. Evelyn has no idea that Adrian looked for the father, the biological father. So Adrian has Carmen to play Evelyn, and he finds a black actor to play Damien. Carmen does an amazing impression of Evelyn. And it works until the real Damien and Evelyn comes home. So the charade is up. And the biological father wants his son back, so they give him up. This pisses off Evelyn because all she's ever wanted was a child ever since they lost their child, and affection from her husband who never wanted to give it to her. She's so furious, she says she's finally done with him, and she is finally now ready to give him a divorce, which is something he does not want. Then something happens. They get tied up along with Carmen, along with Marcel, because the real killer finally shows up. So now it's finally time to get into our last two maids. First there's Bronca, played by Naya Rivera. And man, it's so tragic how she died in real life. May she rest in peace. Such a beautiful soul, gorgeous, can act, can sing. She was taken away too young. Bronca is the brand new maid this season, and because she's a person of color, especially that of black, you should know she doesn't look good for her. And so she's Tyler and Michael's new maid, the live-in maid and stuff. And she's young, and she was hired to work there. Now, Michael and Taylor have been gone since season 2. They are now back from a vacation where they adopted a little girl named Katie. And there's something quite unusual with Katie. She's silent. She doesn't like to talk to nobody. And she just likes to look at people and not really say much. And there's something suspicious going on about how they adopted her because of the conversation Michael and Taylor has. So we know there's something up with her, and they're all like, you know, and they even tell her, you know, you have to go by the name Katie. You can't use your real name. So there's something going on with her. She's part of this murder mystery. And so one time, Bronca comes home late at night to Taylor's place, and Taylor is in the living room with a knife in her hand, and there's blood all over the living room, Scream 4 style. Like, it's splattered everywhere. And it's like, holy crap. What has happened? Like, did Taylor do this? So they have a conversation off screen. And so then Bronca decides she's going to help her clean up all the blood, right? And so, like, all of a sudden, another night, Bronca comes home And there's a guy in the house with a mask on his face, and he kidnaps Bronca, and he ties her up in a abandoned like room. And there he's like, feeding her food and this and that. So now she's held captive, and it's like, what the heck is going on? You know what I'm saying? And she tries to fight her way out of it, only for him to kill her and hang her in a building. And it's the house that Evelyn and Adrian was gonna buy until they found her dead body just hanging there and stuff. And so they just got rid of her character within like 3 episodes or something. And so it's like, why? Why was she killed off like this? Who did it? What did she know? Well, it has to go more with the murder mystery. In comes Rosie. Rosie was a friend of Bronca's. And Rosie has been in a coma for 4 months because she got shot. When she wakes up, she has a brand new son because Miguel got recast after season 2. Don't know why, but he did. And now he's all of a sudden, he knows English very well. And so, like, when her and Spence, she goes back to Spence's place, he's living in a new place, a much smaller place, because he's not really working and he can't afford anything. He couldn't even afford Carmen from last season. And he's doing soft porn now, which pisses her off. But anyway, she wants to know how Bronca died. So who did she go work with? Da-da-da-da, Taylor and Michael. What puts her into this murder mystery and stuff. And she sees they adopted a little Hispanic girl. They said she's from Argentina, but it turns out she is not. Now, what's going on with Rosie this season is she finds out her husband is alive from Mexico. She thought that the mob killed him, but they didn't. They held him captive. So he wants to find her, and he makes his way to America. And when he finds her, this is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for this juicy love triangle thing. Not as big as I hoped, but at least there was some fighting. So he's gonna back off because he sees that she is married, but he still wants her. She wants Spence, but she still yearns for that of her husband. Because think about it, she loved her husband. She married her husband. They had a kid. The only reason why she left is because of the mob and everything. And because she thought he was dead. So she moved on. But then those feelings are coming back. And so, of course, she cheats and everything because they just have the right people bad in this show. So she cheats and everything. But it's kind of like you understand because that is her first true love and everything. And she's having like all these like nightmares of her cheating, and she's going to her pastor talking about like, what do I do and everything like that, because she loves Spence and Spence is upset. Spence tried to keep that from her because like before he found her, he went to the hospital where she was at, but she wasn't there. Spence found out and hid this information from her. And it's all, and it makes him look like a crappy person now. Because he's trying to deny Miguel, his father, and Rosie, her original husband. But eventually he finds out and stuff. And it causes friction between the two. To the point that even where Ernesto and Spence have like a fist fight and everything. Because they both want the same woman. And she doesn't know who she wants. She eventually leaves Spence for that of Ernesto. But of course, they can't write a good Latino character. They had to make him evil and stuff. Now, by the way, he's not Mexican, even though he's supposed to. I forget the actor's real race, but he's not Mexican. He's another Latino person. I think he might be Cuban or something else. I can't remember what it is, though. But he's not Mexican. They don't hire Mexicans to play Mexican, and when they did, they got rid of her. I don't understand that. So this story does relate to the Katie story. See, Ernesto was never kidnapped. He worked for the mob for like 5 years and stuff. So he was a dirty cop and nobody never knew that. And so the mobster dude, he's looking for somebody in America. He's looking for a little girl, Katie. And so, why is he looking for her? Now, I said, Katie is very disturbed. She draws these weird, like, pictures of people killing people and stuff like that. I'll get into that a little bit later. So, when Ernesto sees Katie, he knows exactly who she is. And one of the mobsters' goons paid Ernesto a visit. It's all like, look, man, once you work for us, you work for us all the time. Like, you ain't leaving our organization and you coming back and everything. So, and if you don't, I gotta pay your wife a visit and your son. So Ernesto's all like, look, I got something the boss wants. And when I give her to him, he's gonna leave me alone and my family alone. He plans on giving Katie to the mob and everything. Why? Because Katie witnessed a murder in Mexico. And see, the thing is, she's not Argentina. Taylor and Michael got her from Mexico because they was there and they befriended some people. The little girl's family was murdered by the mob and she saw it. And so they felt bad for her. So they took her and smuggled her out the country. They didn't even really adopt her and stuff. So that is the big secret they're keeping and stuff. So in a way, Ernesto and the goon dude for the birthday party, they're trying to kidnap her, but it doesn't work. At some point in time, they are able to kidnap the girl, I think. I believe at least they try. But something happens. The goon guy gets pissed at Spence for some reason. I forget what. And he beats the snot out of Spence to the point where Spence is so badly beat up, he loses his memory. Ernesto kills the goon guy and he finally tells what's her name, Rosie, the truth about what's been really going on, because she figured out some stuff on her own by doing her own little investigation stuff. And so he confesses, I'm like a crooked cop and this and that, and I was gonna bring the girl back to Mexico and this and that. But he says, you know what, I can't like endanger your life because now the boss dude knows about everything and I have to go back to Mexico to put a stop to like this mob boss dude. So he leaves and everything. It's not as big and thrilling as I wanted, but at least it was something, you know what I'm saying? And so he goes back to Mexico and he leaves her and he leaves the girl and all this and that. But the mob dude and his goons have nothing to do with the murder mystery of this season. Now, honestly, the whole mob thing and Katie and her witnessing the mob stuff, that was just a little out of the ordinary and it was just too convenient and stuff, And it's just like one of those things that could have been left out or they could have done a little bit better. I wish they would have wrote that better. They was ambitious, but they didn't know what the world they was doing. I still think it's really messed up that this actress who's like Dominican Republic is playing like a Mexican and one of the biggest Mexican stereotypes ever of like playing like the dumb person who gets like deported and stuff like that. And it's like, because she's not even like Mexican. And the fact that she defended this show mainly because she was on it and stuff. But then again, she has defended her right to use the N-word of all things. She's even worn that word like on a dress and stuff. And thinks it's like, okay, this was back when like the Paula Deen scandal had came out. And it's like, dude, like, what's wrong with you and everything? Because she feels that, like, words like, shouldn't be, like, restricted to, like, people who are not of, like, that group and stuff like that. Yeah, she's got black in her because she's Dominican Republic. But I always feel nobody has that right to use that word because it is disgusting. But apparently she uses it frequently and everything. And it's just like, man, what is wrong with you and stuff? Because it's kind of like, God, if you're going to like use that word, why don't you play a black person on TV? But she can't because she looks more Latino than she does black and stuff. But still, it's the fact it's like, I don't get her, man. It's like she lives in that world of, oh, I can do what I want. I can play what I want. It's no big deal. And all this other crap, but like it does matter to people. And to defend the show that is based on stereotypes when you're not even that race is like messed up. And even though she has black in her ancestry, because she's like Dominican Republic, she's, like I said before, she's more Latino than she is black. Like, what right does she have to tell people, you should be able to use that word, and whatever group it belongs to, you shouldn't be allowed to use it, and we need to have discussions about this word and all this other crap. Like it's her right to tell people that it's okay to use a racist slur, especially when she's married to like a white dude and everything. I mean, that just makes it look even worse. I just don't understand the ignorance of some people, and I truly believe she's one of those ignorant type actresses and stuff. Also, it's like she doesn't make any sense because she constantly contradicts herself. She says that she feels nobody should use it, but then she goes around and says that this word shouldn't be restrictive to just one group and everything, and how she's used it multiple times in the past, especially when she's around Spike Lee and use it around her friends and this and that. And it's like, make up your mind, because it's kind of like it's a racial slur. It's not just an ordinary word. Like, black people have been like, treated badly by after being called that word. They've been beaten, they've been lynched, they've been killed. Like, they've had way worse stuff. They've been whipped like in slavery days, being called that word and everything. People look down on them and call them that word. It's not a good word. And, I get it. My race is the one who constantly uses that word and won't stop using it because, I'm black. And it's like, that is a major problem right there, because for the love of God, can people just stop using this word and making it think it's the greatest thing in the world? Because then you have non-black people who want to use that word so badly for some bizarre reason, because it's a forbidden word and everything. And and then they're tempted to use it and stuff. And it's like, and don't say it's like a badge of honor or it's to deflect, not to hurt us, because every time a non-black person uses that word around a black person, they get pissed and everything, and especially like celebrities and everything. But I just don't understand some people who feel like they need to use that word. Like, if they don't use that word, then the whole world is gonna like end or something. And what I don't get is why so many people in the Latino community like to use the N word, especially celebrities. I remember I had a friend in college and she's Latina and she liked using that word. And there are so many Latin celebrities that love to use that word. Pitbull, Jennifer Lopez, Gina Rodriguez, whoever that Brazilian pink Power Ranger was, and Power Ranger Ninja still. And there's like a couple of others I can't even think about right now. And it's always the same thing about what they say. They got black friends and their black friends let them use it. But why do they feel the need to have to say that word? And some of them are like, they date black people and they feel like using that word. And it's like, why? Like, did nobody not teach them no better? They don't like when nobody called them racial slurs. So why would they like to use one their own? Like, I don't get it. Like, I honest to God, don't get it. And, once again, it's my race that constantly keeps using that word and keeping it relevant to where people feel the need, they have to use it too, because they feel like they need to be like, what, cool or something like that, or ignorant. Like, I don't get it. I don't get what makes people so happy about using a racial slur. Like, what is it that gets them like excited in their thing, So as for Katie, Taylor, and Michael, so like I said before, Katie is very disturbed and she doesn't really talk. And whenever she does, she lets things slip. So she has these disturbing drawings of her holding a knife and bloody people. That's the murder that happened in Mexico. She was singing a song and Rosie overheard it and it's all like, how do you know this song and everything? That's a Mexican song. And so, aren't you from Argentina? So then Katie shuts her mouth. Then, at some point in time, Rosie, being the detective that she is this season, she brings Katie some candy. And Katie loves it to death. And she's all like, I used to have these back home. And Rosie's all like, no, you can't because that's a Mexican candy and they don't have that in Argentina. And so Katie does share some things with her a little here and there, but not too much. And one of the people Katie likes to go to is Evelyn. For some reason, she just likes her for some reason. So when she ran away from home, she went to Evelyn's place. And so, what exactly is this big murder mystery that has to do with dismembered body parts all around? Well, it turns out Michael suspected Taylor of cheating on him. And so he hired a guy to be like a PI. Now, this guy's not a PI, this guy is a yoga instructor, or no, a tennis instructor at the country club. So this is the time we seen in the first episode where Michael's giving this guy money. We don't know what it was, like, and stuff like that. He caught Taylor cheating on him with a guy. And when the guy saw this, the guy panicked. Who is this guy, you're probably wondering? It's Sebastian. Yes, Carmen's boyfriend of all people. So random and so out of the blue. He is the one who murdered Bronca. And he's the one who spilled all that blood in Taylor's place. And he's Italian, so of course Mark Cherry had to stereotype him because Italians are always depicted as mean, ruthless people or mobster people. Mark Cherry. So anyways, he panicked when he saw the tennis instructor seeing him and taking pictures. So they fought trying to get the camera back, and the instructor dude fell on a glass table and died. So it was an accident how he died, right? But he decided we have to get rid of the body. So he starts chopping up the body in little pieces and stuff. As Taylor went to go do something. I think she went to go see, because Katie woke up and saw everything. And when she comes back, she sees the dude with the knife chopping up body parts. And so he's the one who's been putting them in people's yard. And so, like, Taylor didn't want nobody to know this. She didn't want nobody to know about, like, the affair. She didn't want nobody to know about, like, the murder and this and that, or her smuggling out this child from Mexico. And so this is why she's been acting all weird and secretive and being so mean and rude to everybody, like Marcel and stuff, because everybody keeps asking her tons of questions. Then she feels even terrible because this dude literally killed Bronca and everything. So she's scared to go to the police because she might be an accomplice to all this stuff, even though she didn't, like, kill nobody, but she didn't tell nobody either. So her and Michael have a huge fight to where they break up, and he wants to take Katie from her. At this point in time, Michael started to get back with his ex-wife because she's crazy in the head. She shaved her head and pretended like she had cancer, but Jesse found out she didn't have cancer and spilled those beans, and he left her. Anyways, so Taylor decides that she's just well, no, I think Michael ended up dead. I think somebody killed Michael. I forget who. I think it was it was what is it? Michael goes to Evelyn's place, and of course, Sebastian is there. He is the one who tied up Evelyn, tied up Carmen, tied up Marcel, and tied up Michael, and this and that, and he killed Michael. So at this point in time, now Sebastian is just acting like a crazy killer and wanting everything to look like an accident. So Taylor took Katie and she just fled. Put on like a scarf around her head, sunglasses, checked into like a hotel, and just fled, right? So we don't see her no more. And so Michael's now dead. And at least when they was gonna write Taylor off, at least they gave her some interesting stuff this season, because at first it looked like she was having an affair with Spence, but they are both in AA meetings and one of them didn't want to sponsor the other person. And as for the affair, yeah, she did have an affair with Sebastian and everything, but it was like a setup, I think, by what's her face, Michael's ex-wife. She wanted Taylor to slip, and so she had Sebastian seduce her and everything like that. so that she can get Michael back. Well, anyways, so it's that big climactic ending. Everybody's tied up, and Sebastian just decided, okay, I'm gonna kill Michael. I'm gonna kill all y'all too. As Marcel's all like, so you did this thing, you did that, and you did this, just rallying off her detective skills, right? And so like he turns the gas on at their place. He plans on sparking it. But I think the police show up for some reason or whatever. So in this big climactic ending, they run out the house, but Adrian goes back inside because he wants a picture of his son. So next thing you know, the house explodes. Sebastian is murdered, but what about Adrian? It ends on a cliffhanger. The explosion is one of the worst explosions I've ever seen on TV. Their expressions, like you remember in the Black Widow movie when the blonde-headed lady did something to that device and it exploded and she went backwards. It was kind of like that. It was that bad. But what they wrote for Sebastian really pissed me off. And it's just like, it's one thing to be a cheater and everything, because you never got the impression he was a murderer. And we saw it was an accident. But then after that, he just went nuts and went all villainous and stuff. And it's like, why? Why was he made to look like an Italian stereotype? Like, I don't get why this show does this crap. So this season was a lot more engaging and stuff. It was a whole lot more interesting. And the murder mystery was really unique and handled like somewhat very well done. Only to the point where once again it's just a random killer. And but that's not all. So Spence, who's in the hospital, right? Well, remember I said he lost his memory? Well, guess who's there to comfort him? It ain't Rosie, it's Perry. And he has no memory of, like, you know, all the events that happened. He doesn't even remember marrying Rosie and stuff. And yeah, so Perry is back in the picture, getting what she wants and everything, and that's Rosie out the picture. So, like I said before, it was a pretty juicy season and stuff. Marcel did get involved, I remember now, because she bought like a couch from like a thrift store or something like that, and it had blood on it, and it turned out to be the cushions from that of Taylor's couch with the blood on it and stuff. Somehow she got a hold of that couch. I think she was at the place and no, what it was. Rosie found blood on the cushions. That's it. Rosie found blood on the cushions, and Marcel's alright. Just put not rubbing alcohol, the other one, peroxide on it, and if it bubbles up, it's blood. So when Taylor got wind of that, she bought brand new furniture. So they had to go to like a thrift store and buy like the couch, and they tested it for blood and this and that, and it was. So that's how she did get involved, but it was just weird how they crammed her in there. But all in all, this was a really good season, and it's too bad the fans of season 1 didn't come back for this season because season 2 just kind of ruined it. But because nobody really wanted to come back and watch this season, season 4 was the last season. It got shorter episodes and it ended on a cliffhanger, and that was that. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.